Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to go over how to laser cut a Halloween lantern in LASERGRBL. And I'm going to show you where to get some really cool files. So here's the lantern all cut. There it is, all lit up. So you can get these files from me. That's right, I finally launched a site and didn't decide to go with Etsy. I went with Shopify. So if you download the Shop app, you sign in or create an account, and then they will send you an email with a verification code. It's a totally free app, and you just enter in your code. So once you're in the Shop app, all you have to do is click on the search button or click on your favorites. I hope you add me, and type in Wandai Designs. That's actually my business name, so I don't always go by DiSignsCdn. So it's going to take you to my page once you see that Wandai logo, and I have uploaded a number of files. Now these are limited files because with the Shopify app I can only upload so much data, and so when you purchase these, they're instant downloads as well. So I'm only keeping them up for a short time, and then I will be adding more. So make sure you subscribe to the emails on the app itself. So we're just going to click on one here. You'll be able to see in the description what all I've included. So some files will have SVGs and some will have PNGs, but mostly these are all LASERGRBL ready for you. So if you're starting out, this is so easy for you to use. So I've just opened up my LASERGRBL and made it nice and big. Now I'm using version 6.2.1. There are newer versions available, but I find this one works just fine, so I'm not going to fix it if it ain't broke. So I'm just going through what you'll see when you go to the Boo Lantern set. You will get the See No Evil, and these are all the files included. I've included 1/8" box and 3mm boxes, and of course I'm using the basswood. So you'll see there's a See No Evil, cutting templates included. There's also different tops and lids available, so if you wanted to actually put a battery operated candle in, you can. These are the lantern front designs, plus that's the See No Evil lantern cut. I've also included my favorite pumpkin faces, so you can go ahead and cut the lanterns and then cut out the faces as well. Plus I've included all the See No Evil there as well, so if you want to resize a lantern you can. But I've also included a See No Evil skeleton engraving file as well. So the first thing we're going to get into is today we are going to get into the 3mm 5 box. So all the files that you need are included in here. So I've even included a template, I've even included a cut test, and all the designs that you'll need. So let's go over them. So the cut test you'll use for, it'll just do a nice little circle square test so you can dial in your cutting settings. So throughout this video, I'm going to show you how to use each and every one of these files. Okay, so we're going to open up our LASERGRBL. We're going to cancel that download. Like I said, I prefer the 6.2.1 version I'm working with. I am going to open a file, and again, this will be the See No Evil that you will get as an instant download. And those are just the other files that are available. The first file that we are actually going to open up is my square test. So I've included that, and the size of that is 11 3/4 by 11 3/4. Because most material you'll get is 12 inches, but I've just designed everything at the 11 3/4 square just to make sure everything will fit in case you have a piece that is not exactly 12 inches. So our settings are going to be sharp. We have it on black and white, and I'm going to vectorize this. Even though I'm just going to use it for frame, if I had put it on line to line, it takes a little bit longer to process. And in case I just make a mistake and hit the play button, it's going to start engraving, but you know, I can stop it immediately with it just being the outline of the box. Okay, so we're not really going over these settings first, but just going to show you my first box. I am going to auto size that. Okay, so this will be my test box just for lining up, and we are going to connect the laser, and I'm just going to cancel that because I always engrave by USB. I don't trust the Wi-Fi. Now, if you have a number of lasers that you're using, make sure you refresh, because sometimes it thinks I'm using the Sculpt Fun when in fact I'm using the ORTUR or another thing. Now I am adding a honeycomb board. So we're getting rid of the old and putting in the new. So this is actually considered a waffle board. And I've had it for a number of years and it serves its purpose. I'm not going to throw it out because it actually makes a good grid for engraving pencils on. But I was getting a lot of smoke from it. Because the smoke would ride the ridges, so it would come up the fronts or the sides and that, and it's not magnetic, so it's more like an aluminum. So, and if I had any boards with any slight warp to them at all, I had no way of fastening those down. So that's why I decided to switch to the honeycomb board. So you'll see I have some blocks there because I have my machine raised on the legs. And with my honeycomb board, this aluminum sheet came with it. So I just have to peel off the protective layer on both sides because we don't want to be burning that plastic. So this is the protective board that will go under the honeycomb board. Now for the blocks that I'm using, it's consider the 4x4 fence posts, and so this way I cut 5 equal pieces out of one piece so I know they're all the same height, and this is what I'm going to have for support underneath my honeycomb. So I'm just going to lay those out to where I want support on my honeycomb board that I will be putting in, and my table's a little crooked, so I know I'm going to have to adjust it. So I'm first going to put in my aluminum sheet. So I've also have my machine off, and I've moved my laser gantry back to keep it out of the way, so I am not knocking it while I am playing with this new aluminum sheet. And so as soon as I get it sized up, so I definitely want all 4 corners to be covered for that as well for support. The honeycomb board that I'm adding today is from Dofiki. I bought it from Amazon. $65.99 Canadian. It's just over 19.5 inches by 19.5 inches. Something I needed because I have the extensions on my machine. It's also metal, so it's a very sturdy build, but it also means I can use magnets to hold material as well. Now, I already had it placed in there and realized in the box were the rubber feet, because I was thinking it would be great if it would have rubber feet underneath. So okay, I put the rubber feet on. Now it does come with a little millimeter grid on it, so that's kind of nice. So I'm just going to place that in. So that means adding the rubber feet will give it a little more airflow in between the board itself and the aluminum. So airflow is important to take the smoke away, because smoke can defocus your laser. So if you're new to my channel or new to cutting, a good smoke filtration exhaust system is very key to when you're cutting engraving, okay? Some of the things you can be doing is toxic. So I just made my own DIY enclosure out of scraps. It has a piano hinge so it can close, and I've just used some scrap wood, some scrap little plexi that I had, and some Coroplast. And this will allow the airflow to come from the front of the box, and then be able to suck in fresh airflow to the exhaust system. So I have a 6-inch exhaust system, and it does not sit on the table. It's sitting on the window ledge right now, so it won't cause any vibration. Now we will be using air assist today, so that is the aquarium pump that I have up off the table as well, so it won't cause any vibration in the table. So I'm just bringing my laser forward here, so you can see I have the Z height adjuster, and I do have the slider feature on top of that too, with the older Z height adjuster that I purchased. I can use both. So that's why I don't have to raise or lower my machine anymore. So that's why I just put any items up on blocks, or I'm able to put in larger items just by removing the honeycomb and the blocks. So I'm just going to eyeball it right now and try to see where my laser is, where its home position, and try to line that up a little bit. Now, because I'm going to be using clips and magnets, I don't want it running the very edge. Okay, honeycomb boards will also allow anything that you're cutting out to land flat. Okay, so if you have a piece that lands that drops down uneven, it could catch on your laser in that. So honeycomb boards are definitely wonderful things to have. Okay, so if you're using your wife's grate from the oven, go put that back and get yourself a honeycomb board. Okay, so today we're going to use natural basswood. These are 11.8 by 11.8 inch wood sheets. So you can get a 10 pack for about $35 off of Amazon. I really like this stuff. It cuts like butter in one pass. So I'm using my ORTUR OLM3, and it's the 10 watt laser that I'm using today. Now with this board being magnetic, I am just using some magnetic tape. So it's magnets. It has a adhesive side to the back that I just got from the dollar store. So I tore up about 10 pieces of that. Now the board comes with these 7.5 millimeter clips, so it can hold your material in place. So I'm just going to place the pieces of magnets underneath because I still want the board raised a little bit. I like having my pieces just drop down that little bit so that I know for sure that it is all cut through, because it's kind of like a guessing game. If you don't have it raised, you don't see things drop down. You can't see if you've cut through your board, and you go to pick it up and you haven't cut all the way through, and well, you've wasted material and you've wasted your time. So I'm just going to place the magnets there in the four corners and along the edges as well. And the clips, I let you know that the grooves that they're going in is 7.5 millimeters, because those clips, I think you can get 100 replacement clips for like $9.99 off of Amazon as well. So I'm just going to get all that lined up there, and I'm going to then use my clips to button down. So here you'll see I just keep a little cup here of anything that I need, pencil, knife, a little brush to brush out engravings, and I just keep all my fasteners in there. Now I wanted to show you that the board that I'm using does actually have a slight warp to it, and that's because I stored it wrong. Okay, when you get these boards, they're perfectly flat. They're wonderful. You should store them perfectly flat. Do not stand them up. Also keep them in the plastic or keep them in the original box, just to try to keep the humidity out of them and for them to keep their shape. Okay, so I'm just going to fast forward here while I'm getting it all buttoned down. So the magnets underneath is also making sure that I have nice even height all around the board. And of course I am adding even more airflow for when I'm cutting. So enough of that. Okay, I've got it all set up, and I've got your safety glasses on, and I've got my safety glasses on. So it's time to turn on the machine. And as the machine is homing, you're able to move that platform a little bit in order to line up the board with the edge of the laser. So you can eyeball it there, but this is why we've opened up the test square file. So I'm going to home the machine and I'm going to frame it. So right now it is just framing on the outside edge of my material. And I will just press play and do it a couple times until I know it's lined up perfectly on my material. Now remember, my material is a little bit larger than 11 3/4 inches for the test file or square that I designed, but all your graphics are going to fit in that perfectly. So now, once we get our platform in place, we're going to focus. So with the ORTUR OLM3, the 10-watt laser, it's got the little kickstand. So right now I'm trying not to move the platform too much, but because I've got it in place, it's not, and it's my table. My table has a bow in it. So I am now going to focus in a number of spots on my material just to make sure that I have my platform all level. So of course, this is going to make your laser beam level to the material as well. And so especially when you're cutting, you don't want high spots, you don't want low spots. Low spots, you'll get thicker burnt lines. It doesn't cut. High spots, it won't cut. So we're just making sure that the platform is level in all areas. So I'm going to do the 4 corners. I'm going to do the center. Sorry, my head's in the way there. Okay, I'll put the stand up when I'm sliding across. My machine is off. And you'll see I do not move the machine very quickly. Okay, you don't want to cause any static electricity because it can short out your motherboard. Okay, but ORTUR's machines are grounded as well, so that helps. So once I'm happy with my focused, we're going to get cutting now. Now, once you have it all focused, I suggest you do run the test square file once again to make sure you didn't move the platform too out of place as you were leveling it. Now, in the See No Evil box, we will be using the 3mm box 5 file folder. Okay, but I am going to put a little test square in there for you, the test circle square. So if you did have another piece of material that you could put in there, or if you're cutting something that you have a little space to play with, you can use this test cut file to dial in your cut settings for your particular laser. Okay, so that is the cut test. Now, we won't be able to cut test on this sheet itself because it's going to be jam-packed with graphics. But just letting you know that the cut test file is there. Okay, so we can choose any number of graphics that you would like. Now you can use all 4, but I do suggest cutting them singly. Okay, so we're going to have that on sharp. I have it on vectorize. The smoothing I have turned on at 1.2, the optimize at 1.0. I have the adaptive quality turned on, and you can click on that info button and it will take you to LASERGRBL and explain what that means. I do not have the optimized travel turned on, and I have no filling. And the reason for the optimized travel being clicked off is you do not want your outside shapes to be cut first. You want your inside shapes to be cut first. So then we're going to click on next. Okay, so these settings that I'm about to enter, we will be using throughout today's video. So the border speed I'm going to use is at 225 millimeters per minute. My laser mode is M3 constant power. My S-min is 949 for 94.9, and my max is 950 for 95%. I never cut at 100% because you are actually going to save your laser's life by not running it constantly at 100%. So we're going to auto size that because I've designed these with a white bounding box to be in scale. So then we're going to create. You don't want to resize these boxes or any of the little flanges that we've made in order for them to go together. Well, they're not going to fit if you resize it. So I'm just going to show you that you could append the file if you like. Appending a file means you're adding another step. So we're just adding the panel boxes, and this is what I mean by the flanges. Okay, so you'd use the same exact settings there that we did when we first opened. Same exact speed settings here of the 225 millimeters, constant power. Same minimum, same max. You don't have to change any of these. Okay, and you do not have to click auto size because the first file that we opened, we auto sized. So LaserGRBL will automatically open that at the same size. So you'll see that any of my design files and the box side files as well all correspond with one another and line up. Okay, so you could do the append, or you can open the file here and just open this. Again, we're using all the same settings, so I don't want to keep repeating myself here. Okay, but if I needed to add another cut pass, okay, I just click on the file again, open that, click on the file, click next, keep all the same settings. So by appending, I've just added a second pass. So if you need to do that for your particular laser, you'll use the file append. Okay, and you can use that for the graphics as well. So you're also not limited on how many times you append a file and add steps to it. Because lots of times I'll do engraving, say a image in a dithering mode, text in a line art mode, and then I will cut. So you're not limited on how many append steps that you want to do. So let's go back. We'll open up one of our graphic files. So again, I'm going to keep that on sharp. Excuse me. Black and white mode. We've got it on vectorize. So my spot removal is 2, smoothing at 1.2, optimize at 1.0. I don't have the downsampling on. I do have the adaptive quality on, and that just helps to smooth it. Okay, so again, you can click on this info button. It'll take you to LaserGRBL. I have the optimized travel turned off, so it's going to stay off today. Again, we want it to cut our inside shapes first. So if you cut, say, an outside shape first and it drops down and goes back in to cut your inside shapes, well, they're not going to be cut properly. So we've got that on no filling. We're not going to touch any of those buttons down there. Okay, so same speed as before. The rest of these I'm going to fast forward through. I just wanted to go over one more time that I never run my machine at 100%. Okay, you're going to have a longer laser lifespan. So I first always click in and enter my value in the max. Sorry, and then I enter in my value in the S-min. Okay, so I am going to auto size the first file I always open, and I keep it at 300 dpi. Okay, your measurements are in millimeters, and the offset we are keeping at 0, 0, because I always cut, engrave, burn, whatever, from the home position. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get into the interactive sliders on the bottom right hand side of the screen. Okay, and I'm going to put that to half speed. Now you'll see that hasn't changed because we need to go up to the COM, select our COM, and connect our machine. Now I'm just going to cancel that because I never use Wi-Fi with my machine. Okay, and I'm just going to double check my GRBL configurations for my machine. I'm just going to refresh that, and I'm going to close it because I have a number of machines. So I just want to make sure that it's reading the proper machine, the motherboard from that. So now that the machine is connected, we are going to change our rapid speed to half speed. Rapid speed is the travel of the white space. So it's going to go really fast from the 0 position, and then it's going to cut actually really fast, traveling to each additional piece that it's going to cut. So if you want more precise cutting, okay, I'm suggesting that you do that rapid speed at half speed. And if you're not familiar with the interactive slider, you can actually change your overall speed there with the linear. You can change your overall power while the machine is engraving or cutting as well. Okay, so that's where we're going to keep that at 0.5 for throughout the video today. So we're going to home the machine, okay, prior to cutting. And again, we're doing it from 0, 0. So I've got it set up to do one pass. So again, if you wanted to add a second pass or a third pass, use the file append and reopen the file. Now, I do not recommend appending all 4 graphic files and then appending the panel boxes. I'm going to suggest that you do each and every one separately, because I tried to do it all together and I failed. And I'll show you what happened there. So this is what I mean by appending the file with all 4 graphic files and the panel side boxes as well. Whether it was a little too much for LASERGRBL with, you know, heavy, intense graphics, or it was a little too much for my machine, I ended up getting a error board message and my laser stopped midway through an engraving. Now, I was able to save it, but that's why I'm recommending to each and every one of you, go through each file separately. They all line up perfectly. Don't turn your machine off in between, okay? Because your machine is going to keep that 0, 0 position, and everything will line up perfectly. So now I did home my machine and I did frame, so you'll see that all the graphics will stay within the material size perfectly as well, because I designed it to an 11 3/4 inch square, so that none of the graphics will overrun your material. And now when you're all ready to start, home your machine again and press play. Okay, from here on in, I'm just speeding it up. So this is at like 71 times speed. Woohoo! Look how fast it's going. So you're going to see in just a second where it's going to stop, where I got my error board error, and then we'll slow it down from there. So right about here, and you'll see I get a super large flash, and it just kind of freezes there. So this is a good opportunity to show you guys what to do if your machine freezes, if the laser is still on, okay, or if it stops midway. This is why we do not jog the laser and set the origin. This is why we're always engraving, cutting, whatever, from the 0, 0 position, because it's easier to line up everything exact in case we have an error like this happen. So I'm just going to reset the machine and bring it home. So what I did in order to save this engraving was just open up the one graphic. I deleted what I'd already cut. Now I'm just framing it here, making sure it's lining up perfectly. Okay, but I ended up deleting what was already cut. I did leave a couple things that, so when I go to play, I will know immediately if it's lined up or not. And again, I'm keeping everything at half speed, and everything lines up perfectly. So now I'm going to complete this graphic here, and I'm going to do everything separately from here on out. And I've got this at 100 times speed now, so I finished off that graphic. I opened up the Hey Boo, did that one separately. Saved that one, the Foolish Mortals one, by just deleting what had already been burnt. Opened up this file and ran it separately as well. Now I was a dum-dum here, so I'm going to show you I make mistakes too. I actually opened up the wrong box file. So that's why I have it super organized for you guys. So when you're opening up, you can't possibly did what I did here. So as soon as I saw that, well, this box appears smaller and it was headed towards my graphics, I'll show you what I did. So this is going to show you how to stop the machine right away. You're not going to press the red stop button at the top left. You're going to go to the bottom right, press that hand to stop it, then reset it, and send it home. By pressing the red button at the top left, you'll get a delayed stopping action because it's already fed all that G-code. Okay, so I've opened up the proper file, and here I am cutting all the sides. And I've turned my machine off, so I slowly move my laser gantry back in order to be able to take these out. So I'm just unbuttoning my fasteners there, and you'll see everything slides out really well. Now I have one little spot there on the W that I'm just going to have to take a little X-Acto knife and just give it a little cut. So the next file you'll open up is the top and bottom. So that's the stars and the light hole and the pieces for the feet. And you'll just use all the same settings. You'll home the machine. You'll play that. Your next file to open, of course, is the top and bottom panels. Again, I suggest doing each file separately, but it's completely up to you. You can append and do all of them together, but they will line up. So we've got your panels. The next thing you'll be doing is your feet. So I edited the feet here from my original cut because I tried to do tab feet. They didn't turn out so well. So I kind of did like a clawfoot tub look, I thought. And then I added a bonus file and I added a spider. So open up that. So you'll see this will fit in 2 pieces of the 11 3/4 or 12-inch material. You're only going to need 2 boards, but yeah, I've done eyes, the body. So basically this stick here, you'll put your circles on and leave a space between the circles and put the legs in between. So that's a bonus file I included. And my husband's doing roofing right now, so sorry about that if I can't get rid of that sound. So I'm just going to speed up a little bit because we're getting a little long in the video here. So I'm cutting my tops and bottoms out. Did my feet. I modified the file for you guys after I found out the tabs wouldn't work. So this is what I meant is the hole for the light. And you can get a 2-pack of these off of Amazon. And you'll take 2 of each of the clawfoot tub pieces there for the bottom. And 2 will fit in each corner, butt up against each other. And the reason that I'm putting these on is so that the bottom of my light and my cord has some clearance as well. Now to get to painting. Okay, so I am using the Rust-Oleum Painters 2x Satin Black. And I had to repurpose my microwave cart that I did have as a spray booth. I've just used a cardboard box with my exhaust fan, so it will take any fumes, overspray right out there, vent it outside, and but I do suggest you wear a respirator. Now, first thing you want to do is paint the backs first, and then I've just put them up top to dry. Now, I do recommend possibly taping down the feet as you spray. They'll try to move, but get nice even coats. Go back and do a second coat if you want, but we're going to paint it all again once we have it together. So we've got all our pieces lined up, and we've got our lights and our feet. Okay, we've got them in the order that we need them to be, so we will not be putting this thing together upside down. The first thing we're going to do is a dry fit, okay, just to make sure that they all fit together. I have an X-Acto knife ready just in case I need to shave a little bit off the tabs. With these files, you know, LaserGRBL is tracing it as best it can interpret. So there is really only 1 tab that I ended up having to shave off. Now, after I did the lantern, I kind of wish that I mirrored reversed one of these panels, like the graphics on it, so that when it shone on the wall, it would actually read regularly, because the little light really lights it up. So you'll have the stars hitting the ceiling, but I thought it would be really cool if I mirror reversed one of the graphics, and then that would shine on the wall behind and read normally. Okay, so once you've got that all together, now it might be a little loose and it might have a little warp to it. that's okay. We're just doing a dry fit right now. We're going to take the top and put that on. Now, try not to curse too much and wishing you had 3 hands or more, but this will go together rather nicely. Just be gentle with the sides. Some of the graphics have very fine cuts holding it together. Okay, we're going to work on our bottom piece first because we want all the glue to be good and cured before we put the bottom piece on. So we're going to attach the light, and then we're going to add the feet. Okay, we're going to set that down. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our glue gun and our painter's tape ready. So in order to hold this box together, it's a little bit easier with painter's tape. So you'll just take some of the tack away with the natural oils from your skin, takes down the tack of the paint, and we're going to start going around the corners and any loose fitting edges because we want this secured before we glue it. So this is my Sure Bonder cordless glue gun. I just love it. I'm going to take any initial glue drippings and just wipe that off the base there. Okay, and in order to heat it up again, you just put it on the charger. So if it starts getting a little harder to pump, you just glue it back on. Red light means it's on. There's a switch on the side to turn it on and off on the gun itself. Okay, so we're going to, of course, do the base first. And I'm just going to start with in the corners first. And but I am going to line some glue along the inside edges as well to hold them nice and secure so they won't pop out of their holes. Okay, so I will hold it for a little amount of time too while the glue is still hot if they want to move, because I want to try and keep them flush. All right, and here's another better shot there, so you'll see that I did along the 90-degree edges on the inside. And I just used Dollarama glue sticks. You can get that there very cheaply, because the Sure Bonder glue or the Gorilla Glue, well, it's a fortune. Okay, so now we're going to glue along the inside. I'm going to start with the bottom corners. I wish I hadn't put this on a cardboard box, to be honest, but I was covering up a sign. You can see underneath that I'm painting. I wish I had a harder surface because the top wasn't perfectly flush, even with the tape there. But anywho, it happens. This one's going to be for me anyways. So you'll see I'm getting in the corners. I'll just take little dabs going across, so the painter's tape is holding it together pretty well. And then I will go up the sides, and I'm done. So as this glue dries, it will dry to the color of the glue sticks. Apparently you can order colored, glittered, or black glue sticks. So I just didn't have them ordered in the time that I wanted to actually make this. So, but that's something you may want to look at. I had figured that I'm probably going to give this another spray anyways, just because I might have scratched or scuffed during the gluing process. So I'm not concerned what color glue I have right now because it's all going to be black soon enough. Now, before putting our bottom on, I definitely wanted to test to make sure that our light works, that I didn't have to pull it all out and replace the light bulb. Although it's very easy to pull out and do that. So as you can see, the glue has dried to the white. But no biggie, it's the bottom. Nobody's really going to see that. But we're going to spray that part anyways. Okay, so I'm going to put that on, and then I'm going to glue along the edges of that. And after you glue, you can let it cool down a little bit, and if you have the silicone fingertips that I should be wearing, so I'm not burning my fingers, you can press the glue down and just make it look like a nicer, flatter edge. It will look sharper. And I'm just doing a little touch up on the feet, but I'm also going to glue over the cord as well. That's going to keep the cord flat to the base. So I'll just push some underneath, and then I will put some over top. And we're all done gluing, so we can turn our glue gun off. Make sure your red light is off. So the clawfoot design worked really well that I put the cord through them, and that will just secure the cord. So when you're all done gluing and your glue is dry, you can remove the painter's tape, and it shouldn't remove any paint. That's why we got rid of a little bit of the tack before we stuck it on. Now I'm going to just pull this light out, and I'm just going to cover it with like a little Ziploc bag, the whole mechanism. You could tape it if you feel like it, but I'm also probably going to steal that glue bag there and throw the cord in there, because once I have it all together, I can see I didn't quite get all the edges and they appear brown opposed to black. And this way I can take it over to my spray booth too, spray any of the glue and spray through the holes on some of the panels, and I can cover up that glue on the inside as well. And here's the lantern all completed, lit up. So it's really up to you if you do want to do one side or all the sides like I did, but I think it turned out pretty darn good. So if you saw my short on the cauldron here I am cutting it as well. It is available on the shop site as well. I believe I'm selling that for $2.50. So after fees, I think I make $2.13 Canadian. So I'm not charging a lot for my designs. I'm just going to see this month how it all plays out. And but like I said, they are there for a limited time, and then I will be uploading Christmas stuff. Oh my gosh, that dreaded C word. And that's it for today, finally, eh? I hope I didn't melt your brains. And I hope this video helps and inspires. If it did, please like and subscribe. I appreciate each and every one of you. Take care.